Oh, that's just interrupted a very pleasant conversation we were having about the absurd antics that get to happen in the back garden of the Mackenzie household in Ashby de la Zouch, where Josh Waters is the regular visitor, and featuring generally Josh, Taron Mackenzie, and even the old trout here, Mr. Neil Mackenzie, in around a circuit that they have Super Pole laps, they have race lap records, they have race elapsed time records. It sounds like all sorts of nonsense. Do you get involved in that as well, Neil, or is it just the youngsters?
I do, yeah. I'm an ex-lap record holder, but the little ones have taken over. But I have been putting a bit more effort in, so I plan to reclaim some of my former glory. Yeah, we have reverse directions, clockwise, anti-clockwise, so I'm going to be back soon, so watch this space.
And tell me, what bike are you on?
TTR 125 Yamaha and DRZ 125 Suzuki for Josh Brooks. Obviously, he's a Suzuki man, but yeah, these bikes are just unburstable, and we ride the wheels off them 2 or 3 days every week, and they're great. Low maintenance and just keep going.
Back here we are with at Oulton Park with the Ducati TriOptions Cup. We've had 9 rounds so far, and Dennis Hobbs just about managing to close the gap on Leon Morris. He's got it down to 23 points after they shared first and third places at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in July. But Leon has already been off the bike in qualifying. I don't know whether that's hampered him in any way, but anyway, he was 8th in warm-up this morning, made that 9th in warm-up this morning, so at least he's back on the grid. Grid in which Dennis Hobbs is on pole position, and Rob Guyver, who's had quite a bit of misfortune. He DNF'd crucially in Knockhill and Brands Hatch, and that's really dented his championship chances, Neil.
Yeah, Rob Guyver, a championship threat from the very first round, and of course very successful at that opening round at Brands Hatch, taking a victory in the second race. Rob Guyver is good at winning championships, we know that. He's done that plenty in the past, so he's a championship threat, but it's still time for him to get back up there. 4th in the championship at the moment. But Leon Morris, Dennis Hobbs and Marty Knott, experienced fast guys in front of them, so he's certainly got a job in his hands.
Leon Morris leads on 176 points, Dennis Hobbs on 153. Marty Nutt, the current champion, on 115, is ahead of Rob Guyver, the former Triumph triple champion. Darren Fry in 5th place ahead of Sean Neary, Jonathan Railton, Dave Ferns, Alistair Brown and Alistair Fagan, who's been getting quicker, the Fast Bikes journo. Mark Cheatham's in 11th place, Fowler, Gil Fallon and the rest. But one interesting man who's making an appearance here is another racer turned journo, Chris Northover, who's qualified on the 3rd row. This is what the starting grid looks like. Dennis Hobbs is on pole position ahead of Rob Guyver and Leon Morris, the former champion. Sean Neary heads up row 2 ahead of Jonathan Railton and the reigning champion Marty Nutt. 3rd row, Chris Northover, Alistair Fagan, the 2 journos side by side, and Darren Fry. And on the 4th row of the grid, we've got David Ferns, Louis Dawson and Aaron Brown. Altogether, 24 racers on the grid. This is going to be a bit of a sprint. There's some nice little Ducati TriOptions bits of headgear. And there have been 1 or 2 problems. Dennis Hobbs has had 1 or 2 problems on the P&H bike with gear selection issues, and he's had them again this weekend, which makes it, he said, a bit uneasy going into Druids. Not sure whether it's going to drop into 4th gear or not, Neil.
Yeah, the good old strip down and clear out last night, and it seemed better in the warm-up, but yeah, not 100% sure that he's cured the problem. Thinking about another engine for the next round.
So on pole position then is big Dennis Hobbs, number 25, on the P&H Motorcycles Carl Cox Motorsport Ducati. Alongside him, Rob Guyver, unlucky 13. Can he turn it round here? He had a race victory at the first round, hasn't won since. Whoa, enough, some jerky getaways here at Oulton Park, but not for Dennis Hobbs. But look at that, the flyweight Leon Morris almost manages to tip underneath him. His teammate just coming through in 2nd place. So Hobbs and Morris take off at the front. Good start for both of them, and that's absolutely where they want to be, dropping down the avenue into Cascades.
And Sean Neary trying to find a way past little Leon Morris. Saying, oh, they've got a follower at the back there. I'm not sure who that was. I think that was Ben Broadway at the back. But yeah, fortunately okay, but just got it all wrong coming out of Cascades there.
Darren Fry from Rugby, is it, on the Ducati Coventry GHP bike who's gone down?
No, it's definitely not Darren Fry. I think he's still in the running. Quite make out who that is, but yeah,
it's a sturdy figure.
Yeah, it's a sturdy figure of a lad. But yeah, Dennis Hobbs got the dream start. I was going to say his teammate there, Leon Morris, he's a Danny Pedrosa of the TriOptions Cup, little and light, and that makes a big difference when you're charging into the first corner. But Dennis looks like he's got things under control at the moment. Sean Neary on the bright orange machine there, slotted into third position.
Dennis Hobbs, winner of 3 of the last 4 races, but he's still wrestling to get back on terms with Leon Morris, who's been a 4-time race winner so far during the course of the season. So Leon Morris, trying to regain the title that he won in 2012, is currently 23 points in the lead. Hobbs needs race wins, and at the moment, and we've got a faller. And that is, or someone who's retired, the number 57, Mike Oliver Mann from Nottingham on the frame fast Ducati, not so fast now. These guys, of course, have got another race on tomorrow. And the news coming through is it was Darren Fry that we lost on that first lap.
Oh, real unfortunate there for Darren. Just see the tail end of the field here.
Went down heavily, kind of on the curb, didn't he, really? He hadn't quite reached the grass.
Yeah, it was Darren, yeah. So unlike him, an experienced man. Must have tangled up with another rider, not quite sure what happened there. Yeah, Guyver there, 13th. Solid start for him in 4th position now.
Dennis Hobbs leads it. Leon Morris into lap 2 ahead of Sean Neary. Rob Guyver running in 4th place. 5th for Marty Nutt, the reigning champion from Castle Rock in Northern Ireland. Jonathan Railton in 6th. Chris Northover, as bright as you would expect, is running in 7th place ahead of, is that Les Dawson? Can't be. Alistair Fagan in 9th place.
Louis Dawson, L. Dawson, but...
Beg your pardon, Louis.
Closing up at the front, though. Sean Neary, another man that's on the My Mate Panigale there. He's had a few technical issues as well, the clutch problem in one of the races at Brands and race 1 at Brands, so getting things sorted out. But Leon Morris looking like he's 100% fitted. A nasty tumble, went to medical centre yesterday in qualifying, but as you said, glad to see that he was back out in the morning warm-up and looking as fast as ever.
Where did he fall?
Not sure, Jack, not sure.
And there aren't many comfortable places to fall off around here, are there, really?
Well, yeah, there's no great place to fall off at any racetrack.
And it was a technical issue that stopped number 57, Oliver Mann. It wasn't a fall. He just simply ground to a halt. Jonathan Railton running in 6th place. He's running the 848. He didn't start the season on the 848, but he's then transferred to it now. Yeah,
Oliver Mann, one of the man we saw break down there, he's on an 848, but Railton, yeah, he's loving his 848. He has tested the 899 Panigale, but really doesn't get on with the way it steers, and much more comfortable on the older machine. Say older machine, it's still a bang up to date, beautiful looking bike, but the Panigale is the new model. It's got a little bit more horsepower, suspensions and chassis more advanced and should on paper, although lap records haven't been broken by the Panigale yet, on paper should have the potential to go faster.
And just as you speak, we have a new lap record. Marty Nutt, 142.836. The previous lap record, held by little Ben Field, has been put to one side, good and proper.
Well, it's not a lap record. The previous lap record is a 141.66. It's Nutt is the fastest lap of the race, so quite a bit to go.
I think was I misled by my caption supplier. Hobbs, Morris, Neary, Guyver running at the front. Marty Nutt with the fastest lap of the race, getting himself in contention on bike number 1. So suddenly we've got a breakaway group of 5 here, with Jonathan Railton and the 848 heading the second wave. But this is good. I said to Dennis Hobbs this morning, you know, like, try and make this race a good one this afternoon. And he says, oh, I'll try not to run away with it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Marty Nutt on the Ducati Coventry GHP race machine, last year's championship winner, the 848 championship winner, hasn't quite managed to get to the top of the podium. Lots of podiums so far this season, but hasn't won any, but proving that today he's got the pace at Oulton Park.
Vastly experienced, of course, the 37-year-old in previous years racing British Super Sport and all that stuff for a long time before he stepped into this Ducati field and won the championship last year. But as he says, the competition's pretty stiff here this weekend and indeed this year, as Leon Morris skirts through there easily inside, it seems, Dennis Hobbs, and through Old Hall Corner as Dennis takes a quick look over his shoulder. Leon Morris now leads the way, and this is what Dennis doesn't want, really. He can't afford to let Morris keep winning races.
Yeah, and Leon Morris, of course, he's smaller, he's lighter, and that works great because you've got less weight to stop, you've got less weight to accelerate. So on paper, you can't be faster, but of course, if you're bigger and a bit stronger, then you can muscle these machines around a little bit, and he might lose out in that area. But Dennis Hobbs at the front for a couple of laps. We'll just see if he has got something left in the tank. But Leon Morris looking like he wants to put a bit of a gap between them.
At the same time as Leon Morris took the lead, Marty Nutt managed to clip his way past Rob Guyver, so Nutt is now through into 4th place and putting the hammer down in pursuit of Sean Neary on that distinctive orange machine. Number 1, Marty Nutt, braking hard as they drop down into Knickerbrook. Number 13, Rob Guyver, now cast back into 5th place. I don't know whether Chinrod can do anything about that.
And Marty Nutt certainly in determined mood, putting in the fastest sector in sector 1 of the race so far, so he's really got something going on with his 899 Panigale, looking very comfortable, and if he can pull passes like that, that was a lovely pass that he pulled on Rob Guyver there, very confident, and he certainly seems to have the pace.
So far, Marty's finished everywhere but top of the step. He's had 2nds, 3rds and 4ths during. They've been super consistent, but just not right at the front.
Yeah, Rob Guyver there in 5th position now, number 13 at the back. He's not, when everything's right with Rob, he's pretty hard to beat, and you can see he's hanging on there to Marty Nutt's coattails, not quite able to do any passing or move forward any. There's some fast sectors coming up for all of these guys in the top 5 here as they find their way around and just get a bit of confidence. They've had limited practice around here, although the weather has been good when they're out there. But I know on the 899 Panigale, gearing slightly different than the old 848, so there's definitely a bit of testing going on, and for sure they'll be taking information and feedback from this first race for tomorrow's race 2.
It says there, new lap record,
well,
but we've not got to believe that, because Ben Field, we believe, did a 141.626 back in August of 2013.
I guess if you're counting it as an 899 Panigale lap record,
okay,
then it is. But of course, it is the TriOptions Cup, and they're mixed. We've got 848s and Panigales in there. So yeah, Ben Field, he is still the man, 141.6. So I think it has to be an outright lap record to count.
And it is indeed counted as a new lap record. Last season is counted as the separate 848. So Marty Nutt setting 2 new lap records here for the new Panigale, shall we say. Hanging on in 5th place there, Rob Guyver, the vehicle paint sprayer from Raynham in Essex. Twice 2nd in the British 125 GP Championship, once by only 4 points in 2010. Before he turned to larger motorcycles and started having some success with that Triumph Triple Challenge when he was champion in 2012. And also, of course, the British Supersport Cup champion last year.
Jonathan Railton still the top 848 in 6th position, and Dan Fowler, his teammate, he's down in 11th on the other Boast bike.
And they're the top 2 in the E848, with Mark Cheetham right beside Fowler in 12th place. The leader, though, at the moment, Leon Morris. It looks like it's between Morris, Hobbs and Neary.
And Rob Guyver fight.
Sean Neary grabs a new lap record. The young man from Lymm, 27-year-old now, from Lymm, just up the road here in Cheshire, obviously very much on his home territory, has set a new lap record for the bigger Panigales this season. And he's on the move, 142.497. He's really pressing the big figure of Dennis Hobbs, number 25, and the much smaller figure of leader Leon Morris, number 2.
You see Dennis Hobbs there in 2nd place. He's got quite an unusual riding style, and he had a nasty shoulder injury a couple of years ago, and he really had to kind of adjust his ride. It's not quite traditional. See, he hangs off the bike in a strange manner, but it's not that he's got any disability or problem, but he's got limited strength in one of his shoulders. So he's, as riders do, they adjust to make sure it hasn't slowed them down any. And it's great to see Dennis having a great season, because he had a couple of nightmare seasons where he was injured beginning of the year, and then it was pretty much all over.
It's remarkable. He's back on track, to be honest. I've got to be truthful. I pleaded with him a couple of times, saying, Dennis, you know, haven't you banged yourself round enough? You know, just become a happy, relaxed family man. Jonathan Railton, number 40, leading the 848 challenge there on the Boast Plumbing Ducati.
Yeah, great job there with Jonathan Railton. He has, as I said, tested with Panigale, not happy with, much more comfortable, and enjoys riding the 848.
So we've completed 7 laps out of 10, and that means we're past 2/3 race distance. So should anything happen now, although hopefully it's unlikely in these beautiful conditions, this race result would stand. That is Jonathan Railton, the 848 leader. He's behind that front 5. Here they are as we watch. That's an intriguing line that Guyver has. Very confident line, very narrow into the apex at Cascades.
Yeah, and it's a fast line. He's getting faster and faster. Just set his fastest lap of the race, and look, we've got 2 laps to go here, and he's closing in. and he's bringing Martin up with him, so we could well end up with a five-way battle here on the last lap.
And in fact, he's bringing Nutt with him to such effect that Nutt set a new fastest lap there, 1:42.295. So this is, it is a new lap record on lap 7 for number 1, Martin Nutt, even though he's down in 5th place. So he's got Leon Morris, Dennis Hobbs, Sean Neary to deal with yet, as well as Rob Guyver. And these are the guys who are definitely going to sort this one out. 3 of them can get on to the rostrum here, and of course they've got another race to enjoy tomorrow.
And the great thing about Oulton Park is there's so many passing opportunities, not least the very last corner on the track, Lodge. So we've seen so many. Big problem for Guyver. Guyver's got a technical problem there.
Major. Is that oil on the track?
Yes, that's going to be a red flag. That will be a red flag, Jack. I'm pretty sure about that.
Rob Guyver. Oh dear, Rob's spreading it everywhere. Isn't it about time a man of his experience got off the track?
Well, I'm sure he's obviously lost power, but he's unaware maybe that he's pouring. I mean, these bikes are designed, the belly pan should contain the oil, so, but you see the unusual design where the exhaust comes out the bottom there, that's not happening, and that is a big explosion.
And there's all sorts of stuff dribbling out at the bottom of that engine. The red flag duly goes out then, with Leon Morris currently leading ahead of Dennis Hobbs, and that's going to be bad news for Hobbs. This is the moment at which it blew on the way up the hill, so there's an awful lot of oil going to have to be dealt with here before we get riders back out on track this afternoon. Look at that, all the way up Clay Hill and across the top.
Yeah, he's unaware of that, and you see coming out Hizzy's there in the 3rd gear. These little bikes rev hard, but so unusual for it to unload all of its oil. It's fairly...
Rob Guyver, who celebrated his 29th birthday just a week ago, then doesn't celebrate it in quite the way that he would have hoped for, and the High-Side Motorcycles Ducati pulls off the track. And that would mean that Leon Morris, Dennis Hobbs and Sean Neary will be the men on the podium. Martin Nutt will get 4th place. Jonathan Railton will move up to 5th. And an excellent 6th place for our young journo, Chris Northover, a former regular and race winner in the Triumph Triple Challenge. So Leon Morris, Dennis Hobbs, Sean Neary are the men on the rostrum in the first TriOptions Ducati Cup of the weekend. The Ducati TriOptions Cup, race 1 of their weekend. Leon Morris, the welder and fabricator from Stockbridge, just up the road from Thruxton, comes all the way up to Cheshire to take a race victory ahead of a doubtless disenchanted Dennis Hobbs, not in the right place at the right time when the race was ended. Sean Neary, local man from Lim, takes 3rd place ahead of Northern Irishman Martin Nutt. Jonathan Railton leads home the 848 ahead of Chris Northover, Louis Dawson, and then Brown, Fagan, and the second 848 of Mark Cheetham. And then the final point scorers down to 15th place: Fowler, Wilson, Holden, Humphreys and Pearce. The championship standings won't make pretty reading for Dennis Hobbs. He'd closed the gap to 23 points. Now it's been levered back to 28 thanks to that victory. Leon Morris on 201 points ahead of his teammate Dennis Hobbs on 173. Martin Nutt 3rd in the championship on 128. And the luckless Rob Guyver, his Ducati expires and he is stuck on 93 points. Now only 4 clear of Sean Neary in the standings. Darren Fry is 6th ahead of Jonathan Railton, the 848 championship leader, with Brown, Ferns and Alistair Fagan now level with Ferns in 9th place. 11th for Mark Cheetham ahead of Dan Fowler, and then Gilfallen, Holden, Dave Heel, who, if you remember, the old warhorse, actually had a rostrum finish at the very opening round at Brands Indy, but we haven't really seen him since. Whoa, good Lord, the population of Cheshire has turned out to try and clean up the mess left. Well, I tell you what, it's a beautiful white line being painted down the middle of the road. Perhaps they ought to leave it there just as a test for the guys. Stay to the right or stay to the left. But that is a massive clean-up operation, and they must have imported marshals from far and wide. It's a good job that the racesafe.org marshals, there's plenty of them around, because that is a big job. Don't forget to check out their website if you want to find out how to become a part of the Marshals troop, enjoy the training and also enjoy the close-up spectacle and the fun of picking well-known people out of the gravel.
Thanks, Jack. And that big slick out there and the resultant red flag. So Sean Neary take third place. Sean, how much of your feelings right now are frustration that you couldn't challenge for the win at the end, and satisfaction to be on the podium?
Yeah, there's definitely satisfaction to be on the podium. You know, it's my home round. I've got a lot of sponsors here. The MyMate team gave us a great bike, so the rest was down to me, really. I couldn't quite stay with these boys. I was trying, but, you know, there's always tomorrow, so absolutely made up with it.
Thanks, Sean. Well done.
Cheers, thank you.
And second place in that race was Dennis Hobbs. I'll have to ask you the same question, really, I suppose. Dennis, I'm sure satisfied with second place, but maybe just a bit frustrated that the red flag came out when it did.
Yeah, pretty annoyed. I was looking at counting down the laps, and I was watching Leon, seeing where he was a little bit quicker, where he was slower. And on that lap, I was gearing up for a pass into Lodge and going to try and get back to the front again. Obviously, for me in the championship, I need to try and beat Leon, so he's extended it again by another 5 points. But happy with how it's been going. I've been fastest every session throughout the weekend until this point, but we'll keep on trying. Just a big shout out to the P&H Motorcycles Carl Cox team, all my sponsors, Kiefer, Car Masters Glasgow, Ducati Glasgow, Tagisar, CJ Hughes, Knockhill, everybody that helps out. It's been a good season so far, but we need to pick up those wins and keep beating Leon.
Thanks, Dennis. Well done. And the race winner then in the Ducati TriOptions Cup race here at Oulton Park is Leon Morris. Leon, congratulations. I'm sure you had that all under control.
We had a bit of an off yesterday in qualifying, and like Dennis just said, he's been quickest all weekend, so I knew that he'd be there or thereabouts, and you know, it's a bit of a shame to win like that, certainly from Dennis's point of view, but you know, we're here to try and win a championship, and these things happen, so you know, to have a bit of luck today, I'll definitely take that. Overall, really good, and get the wets on for tomorrow.
A win's a win. Well done, Leon.
So just big thanks to Carl Cox, P&H team, and all my personal sponsors back home. Wouldn't be here without you lot, so thanks. Cheers.
Well done.
This was the first of the two Ducati TriOptions Cup races of the weekend here at Oulton Park, with Dennis Hobbs barging his way through ahead of teammate Leon Morris into turn one off pole position. But a very, very early exit from one of the fastest men in the championship. Darren Fry gets caught out, touches the curb and goes down pretty hard, actually. But thankfully, hopefully in one piece, crawls off the track, and at least the marshals have a lap to clear things up. And during the course of that time, these five break away. Marty Nutt there, number one, reigning champion, running in fifth place as Leon Morris grabs the lead from his teammate at P&H Carl Cox Motorcycles, Dennis Hobbs. Marty Nutt muscles his way past Rob Guyver on the high side motorcycles bike, the black and yellow machine. But Rob very quickly levers his way back to the front, taking one of those early apexes that he's got so adept at on the larger machines since he moved out of the British 125 Championship. But then he blows up of Clay Hill, and that's suddenly a drastic end to his run. And Rob eventually pulls off track, leaving behind him a wicked trail of oil and a red flag, which means that Leon Morris took the race win from Dennis Hobbs. So number two, Leon Morris, extends his lead in the championship. So Dennis Hobbs on the left, Sean Neary on the right, and in between them, the tiny figure of Leon Morris. And Jonathan Railton, the 848 Cup winner. Leon Morris, very, very consistent in this championship. My co-commentator, Neil McKenzie, has translated himself to the outdoors and appears up there to congratulate various people and hand over the trophies as the Ducati ambassador. The winner, Leon Morris, second in the Ducati 848 Challenge in 2010. He was the Ducati 848 champion in 2011. He went off to the Superstock 1000 Championship in 2012 and was scarcely visible, just scraping some points in Cadwell and Silverstone. Returned to Ducati last year and finished in third place, and he's keen to take the championship again. So the tiny figure in the middle then, dwarfed by Mr. Neary and Mr. Hobbs. You knew he was small when he was having to look up to Matt Roberts when he was being interviewed. And there he is, the tiny figure in the middle is Leon Morris, and he's extended his championship lead to 28 points, which means that Dennis Hobbs on the left has an awful lot of work to do. He's got to try and get himself back on the top step tomorrow.
Low blow that, Jack. Low blow, I remember that. Great scenes then after the Ducati TriOptions